Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order of the Brawley City Council and successor agency to the Brawley Community Redevelopment Agency, Tuesday, September the 3rd, 2013 at 6 p.m. Roll call.
The minutes will reflect all council members present.
Thank you. Invocation, Pastor Troy Dowdy, Assembly of God Church. To this one.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the opportunity to come and pray and give thanks to the Lord and ask for God's blessing on this time. God Almighty of heaven and earth, Lord Jesus, the Son of God, we honor you tonight by giving thanks for your many abundant blessings, both in our personal lives and for how you have blessed our city and community. Thank you, Lord, for the mayor and the members of this city council, for all those who serve our city, helping make it a city that is safe and desirable. Lord, we ask that your hand of blessing and provision would be upon this council and this meeting tonight, that you would guide the decisions that are made, and that all decisions that are made would be honoring to both you and to the people of our city. We pray that your hand and guidance would be with them in all that they do. We pray that you would bless the finances, you would bless the coming and the going of each and every city member and official, that you would guide this assembly tonight. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Pledge of Allegiance, Don Campbell. Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, item number 1, which is approval of agenda. And before we do that, I'm going to ask that we move item 2A under public appearances under the regular agenda, under regular business, so that we can limit public appearances to 4 minutes. I'm a real advocate of that. I don't like it running over, and I believe that that might run over 4 minutes. So I'm going to move that into the regular business, and we'll take it first under item 4, regular business, if that's all right with everyone. So I'll entertain, with that change, I would entertain a motion for approval of the agenda.
I make a motion to approve with the changes identified by the mayor.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, moving right along. Okay, public appearances, item number 2, not to exceed 4 minutes. This is the time for the public to address the council on any item not appearing on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city council. The mayor will recognize you, and when you come to the microphone, please state your name for the record. You are not allowed to make personal attacks on individuals or make comments which are slanderous or which may invade an individual's personal privacy. And please direct your questions and comments to the city council, and please attempt not to exceed the 4 minutes. So if there's anybody from the public that would like to come forward to address the council. Yes, sir. Come up to the microphone.
Good evening, Council, Honorable Mayor. As you may recall, I made a presentation.
State your name for the record.
Oh, I'm David Dale, Dynamic Consulting Engineers.
Thank you.
As you may recall, I made a presentation last City Council meeting regarding the use of out-of-town consultants. And since then, I have gotten the Public Records Act request back from the City Clerk's office. And just to let you know, there was approximately $10.2 million spent since 2007. And out of that $10.2 million in consulting fees, $100,000 or $118,000 was local firms. Just to let you know that. Any questions?
Any questions from the council members? Okay. If not, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other public wishing to make a public presentation to the council? Any other members of the public? Nope. If not, then moving right along. We'll go to the item number 3, which is the consent agenda. Items are approved in one motion. Council members or members of the public may request consent items be considered separately at a time determined by the mayor. Anybody have any questions or want to pull anything from the consent agenda? Okay, I don't see anything from anyone. Anybody from the public? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, on to regular business. And under regular business, since I made the modification, we'll ask the California Hero Program presented by Kevin Kirka, Business Analyst, Renovate America.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, thank you. I am not Kevin Kukra. Kevin is actually here with me. He's asked me to come up. He's a little stage fright going on there. So
Okay.
I will do my best to keep this to 4 minutes. I had 343 slides to go through, so we'll try and do that in 3 slides if we can. I think actually rather than use slides, what I'll do is I'll just say that my name is Mark Rogers. I'm here on behalf of Renovate America, representing the Hero Financing Program. And Hero Financing is a PACE program that we've launched just this last year in California, and we're having incredible results with it. Approvals for home energy retrofit projects up over $300 million at this point, and just south of 7,000 of these projects completed and funded for close to $90 million at this point. So we're making a huge impact on the communities here in Southern California, especially where we actually beta and launched the program by really putting many contractors back to work, allowing them the abilities to expand their businesses. We're having just great economic impact, as well as helping the communities get in line with AB 32 and all the requirements of that legislation, of course, that require that we lower those greenhouse gases. So when we look at the industries today, we know that building new power plants is very expensive, and most of the new homes built are already energy efficient. And what we really need to address is the larger portion of the homes, which of course are the older homes that need to be upgraded to help the cities and counties meet their goals. So again, we have a fantastic program. It's as simple to join as passing a resolution. And to date, we actually have 76 cities and counties within Northern and Southern California who've joined the program. And quite frankly, we're just having a ball. It's a lot of fun to go back into cities and talk to different city managers and mayors and have them tell us just how wonderfully well the program's going and how glad they are we're there. So we would love to be on agenda for a vote on the 16th. I think that meeting's probably going to get moved around a little bit. And that's really what we're here asking for tonight. And if there's any questions, of course, I'll be happy to field them as well.
You have a question?
I don't have a question, but I do have a comment. I'm familiar a little bit with what the presentation was about, and I really would like to see that happen here in our area. I think there'd be a lot of folks that want to take advantage of that program to kind of decrease some of their energy costs and stuff. And what I would like to see, if my colleagues approve this whenever it gets on the agenda, if possible, maybe you guys can set up somewhere in the area where people can come and talk with you and get more of an idea of how it works and how the payments are arranged through their taxes and stuff like that. I think is a really good, solid program. So I'm kind of excited to see this happen.
Well, thank you. We're happy to, of course, come back and make that happen for you as well.
If I can add on, so there's I would assume a pretty robust outreach marketing program once a resolution's passed, or is that something that's taken up with the actual agency or municipality? It's
quite robust. And what we do is we work within the jurisdiction to help. There's no cost and there's no risk to the jurisdiction. So we take on the admin, we take on the advertisement and outreach. Well, we work with you to do that. So we'll work with whoever it is that's in charge of either putting a landing page up for you on your own site or one at our site, putting brochures out here with your names and everything on them so people know when they come in who to contact and what to do and how the program works. Most of our outreach is to the contractor community, and the contractors really carry our program into the community, to the property owners.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Was that part of your motion? Yeah, and I think just to get a quick glimpse of what it does is there is an alternate energy source that is installed on the house to decrease the energy bill, and that installation basically is paid through your property taxes, like that. So that way it's not a real upfront impact to the resident. That's kind of the way it works?
That's correct. And it does several things. Number one, we qualify the property, not the homeowner. So if somebody has a 530 FICO, this doesn't exclude them, right? If they have a certain income limit or level, it doesn't exclude anybody. It's literally for the entire community. It just requires that there is equity in the home and that the payments on the home are current, and there's no delinquent taxes.
Okay.
So other than that, it's not a credit or FICO-based program at all.
Okay. Any other questions from the council? I think staff is looking for some direction in this area, and, in terms of bringing it back on the future agenda on the 16th or 17th, whatever we decide on that meeting, and also provide us with a little bit of additional written information, I believe, on the item, so that we can make a decision, all the whys and wherefores and what we have to discuss in terms of what we might want to discuss in terms of in that regular meeting where we can make an actual decision.
Right.
For today at night, this is just informational. So.
We do have to go through the process, county tax collector and stuff, assessment and all that. So I don't know if it's need just recommend staff to work on it. I don't know if we need a motion or
We
not,
can't do
or
it. We
no.
cannot do a motion tonight because it isn't set up that way.
And
but-
we actually do, just for the record, we take care of everything with the county assessor as well.
Right.
Once the resolution's passed, we become the conduit for the county assessor and adding that specific line item to the tax bill.
So what would the next step be for
Well,
these
what I would like to do is get the consensus up from my colleagues here to ask staff to move forward to work with these folks to get this on the agenda so we can get the resolution put together to get the ball rolling, basically.
Sure, when there's more information, I think we'd be in a much better position. Obviously, your time's limited today, but once you're on the agenda, on regular business, we can view it in more detail and go from there.
Yeah,
So-
fantastic.
That would be best. Probably, is that going to be able to be on the next agenda?
We can shoot for the next meeting, and perhaps if I may offer a time to sit down and talk with you about your program and any additional coordination that might be necessary with the Imperial Irrigation District. I'm not aware of any local jurisdictions that have yet crossed into this arena, but it's a very exciting place to be, and it sounds like our council here is interested in pursuing it.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, is it time sensitive? In terms of, it isn't our intention, obviously, to take time, but in case that we're, as you can imagine, the schedules get, if for whatever reason it were delayed, not just this next meeting or the meeting after, is there an issue there?
Right. Well, to answer your question, it's incredibly time sensitive.
Okay.
From my standpoint, right? Of course, it always is.
Oh.
No, it really is not. The only thing that would benefit you from a time standpoint is this. Once we go ahead and adopt the resolution, there is a judicial validation filed within the county, right? I mean, to make sure that the program is valid and legitimate and it runs through the process. And that's really a requirement of the bond buyers, right? So that they don't get in any trouble and, they're not buying bonds that have a lower rating. So we can abbreviate that process by about 5 months because we have a statewide judicial validation going now that will allow this program to launch December 1st. So if we can get this on agenda sometime in September, that would be wonderful because you'd be able to join that statewide judicial validation. Okay. Otherwise, it would be a matter of being, in the next statewide validation somewhere, it'll be FY14 actually to launch.
Okay.
And I really like the fact that I think the investment is tax deductible too, right?
Well, that'd be a matter of something you'd have to talk with, a homeowner would have to talk with a CPA. However, the interest in most cases certainly is.
Yes, exactly. All right.
Mr.
Okay.
Palomar, you have anything to say, brother, real quick? I want to recognize Daniel out in the audience. Daniel, good to see you here again, brother. Daniel is an ex-Brawley City Council
Former
member.
city
and
council mayor.
Good to see you, brother.
And mayor, too.
I feel better just having him back there.
Okay, yes. Any other questions? Anything else needed? Nope. Thank you very much.
Great, thanks so much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, moving right on. Item 4A, or whatever we want to call it, review and decision regarding the late payment assessment for the Brawley Inn LLC May 2013 transient occupancy tax.
Mayor Couchman, if I might offer, an additional handout has been provided
Right.
by Mr. Wen Cheng.
Okay. Yes,
Good
ma'am.
evening, Mayor, council members. Ruby Walla, Finance Director. The item before you tonight regarding the appeal is an appeal hearing regarding late penalty assessment for the Brawley Inn regarding their transient occupancy tax for May 2013. Our last council meeting in July, you were presented with basically Mr. Wenchen disputing the charge, which he was notified by letter that we received the the TOT tax in the earlier part of July when it was due by June 30th. And there was correspondence between between Brawley and the finance department regarding Brawley requesting a payment had been received. If we could check to see if it had cleared, we notified them that we had not received it. They did state that they would reissue a payment, as they did send it out. However, their concern at that time was that they did not want to be assessed the penalty. However, staff did advise that the penalty would still apply, as payment needs to be received by our office by the due date, which any TOT is the last month following the month prior. With that being said, we did receive checks for the TOT tax. We received 2 checks on the same day, which would have been July the 5th. We received 2 checks in the amount of approximately $10,000. At that point, I held the checks due to correspondence stating that one of the checks was going to be issued a stop payment and then reissued, and not having to deposit both the checks, causing the city to have a return item. We held them, and on July 8th, we corresponded with Brawley to find out which check we could deposit as we received. However, they confirmed that we could deposit one of the checks. It didn't matter, no stop payment was issued. Their intent was that we would receive both checks. At that time, they still expressed the fact that they didn't want to be held to the penalty. However, we said, as finance director and tax administrator, I stated that the penalty would still apply. They wanted to know what the process was to waive such penalty. I advised them that I would inform them in writing of the assessment, which is approximately $1,071. They would then refuse to pay that amount, which they presented a letter at the last council meeting in July. We did correspond to that letter, which normal process, there would be a public hearing or appeal hearing with the tax administrator. However, since council had already awarded or approved a hearing at a council meeting, we went ahead and sent them a letter. And however, we're here today to go over the information and details as far as the late penalty. As tax administrator and finance director, my position is that the penalty applies.
Okay, any comment, City Council?
I have a question. You received 2 checks, is that correct?
Correct.
And the first check was received,
Both were received on July the 5th.
both were received on
Yes.
July the 5th?
Correct.
And the claim was that the first check had been sent in the mail,
Yes, on June 17th, as
Okay.
stated on the check.
and that's check number 1190. And then the
Correct.
other check is dated 6/28, and it's check number 1191.
Correct.
Okay.
I would like to
Yeah, go ahead.
make a comment. Ruby and the finance department has done a fine job notifying folks of some of these late fees. But I think what's happening is, I believe this may be one of the first times that we've actually notified one of our businesses of an infraction like this. Am I not right, Rosanna?
I actually had our finance director pull some history this afternoon to be sure that we could look at all of our motel operators and also the Brawley Inn in particular. She was able to pull data back to 2008, and if I may ask that she please recap that data, I would appreciate it.
I went through our files, which we have at our office from 2008 to current. We have found that there have been operators that have been late, and they have paid the penalty, which that means they have actually put it on their return to the city, their tax return, which shows that they are assessing and paying the late penalty, where the city has not had to send them a notification for assessment. However, then in reviewing Brawley in particular, they show to have never been assessed a late penalty. However, there shows in their history from 2008 to date that there has been late payments received. Normal process is that basically these payments are received in the mail, staff processes them, and if they don't pass through my desk particularly, then it has, or any other finance director, then they have not been assessed the penalty in this form. So prior to now, there were 8 other months that I was able to identify as late payments received, which total about $9,800 in penalties, unassessed, unpaid.
Do you know more or less when that occurred?
We had, well, it dates back to 2008, so October 2008 was late, April 2010 was late, October 2010 was late, February 2011, May 2011, November 2011, and January 2012, and then you count the current one. And when I reviewed these, I took into consideration the days in the month, whether it was the last day of the month fell on a weekend, a holiday, and then our prior 980 schedule. All those things were considered, and that what drew the number down to 8, because there were others identified. And also what there was a consistency was if it was due, say, November 30th, it was received 12/1, it was by a day or so. There was only one that significantly indicated of like a 5-day late days in between.
Any other council members have any questions for Ruby? Anything? The only thing I'd just like to state that we've gone through this quite a bit, and I've been listening to all of this, and the city ordinance is clear. If it's late, there's a 10% penalty assessed. If it doesn't say anything about being a day late or a week late, and some people are very late, I'm assuming, and they still have to pay that penalty. And then if it gets later still, there's additional penalties that are tacked on. Others have paid the penalties, so.
Yes, in review of the other operators' files, there were other operators that have paid late, and they have included the penalty when sending in their payment.
In other words, they've paid the penalty.
Correct.
And then also in the past, Brawley has been afforded an opportunity to not pay that penalty, or at least they haven't been charged that penalty, as I understand it, even though they've been late.
Correct.
Okay. And so we've got all that going on. My only concern is consistency and fairness and everything else that goes along with that. But if we're charging some people the late fee and not charging others, or we waive it, then that poses a problem for us, because then we're not following our own ordinance, which we've established. If we want to change the ordinance, that's fine, but if we're not consistent, that poses a problem for us as a city. And I want to make sure that we kind of stay within a consistent, fair basis in terms of how we assess penalties and those types of things with people. So I have some concerns about waiving this because of that, because of the consistency, and because of the fact that we normally don't waive it, and we normally have charged other people, but then we've had people be late before, and I'm assuming they haven't been charged this penalty.
Correct.
And so we're a little bit inconsistent there. I'd like us to get some consistency built in there so that we're doing things appropriately, whether it's a day late or whatever. If we want to change the ordinance, we can do that. But in order for that to be more fair and consistent, we would have to change the ordinance. Okay, so that's kind of what I have to state.
Mr. Mayor, and again, I agree with more or less everything that you certainly stated. I think it's really important, and I do want to make a comment. I think our finance department, our staff, and I think it's important for the public to know, followed really to the letter what our ordinance says. So definitely to be commended, that's why they're there. But at the same time, I understand there's a hearing, and I'm personally wide open to, if there's extenuating circumstances, if there's, we understand to err is human, and things can happen. I don't have an issue with that. I'm a little bit concerned about even the data, which I was unaware of until right now, until this meeting. So, and my concern is simply this, is that I'm all for doing what we can for our business. I think most of my, if not all my fellow council members and all our staff are really feel the same way. But I think equity and consistency is very important. And with this being a hearing, my only other question is there an opportunity, is Mr. Wan going to step up or address it? Or Chang, I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm looking down at the letterhead, Mr. Chang, but if we can hear some additional comments.
Let's allow Mr. Chang just to state his case, and then we'll move on.
Thank you. I think the finance department makes some confusion that the two check is from different. The first check is the as you see the letter, is sent by mistake by their newly appointed employee to, instead of to the finance department, it's to our hotel. And another check, because if you read the third paragraph, say we feel this was unusual. Therefore, the office assistant Sandy on Friday contacted the city to inquire the status and was advised by the city officer Stella to wait for a follow-up phone call for further action. Ms. Stella did not inform Sandy that if payment is not received by the end of month, the city will automatically impose a penalty. And so for another thing, I apologize because I never come here involved the operation. So I really don't know we have that late payment before. But I really think there's some confusion that the two checks arrive the same date, and also two checks in sequence. So somebody maybe think that we on purpose doing that to confuse. It is not. It's one check sent on the 17th, another check sent on the 28th, and both arrive the city at the same date. So it's a innocent human error, but it's not on purpose, and I up to you guys to make the judgment call anyway. But there's the check copy is all right here. So I'll let the city make a decision. No problem.
Mr. Chang, I
Yes.
appreciate you coming out here, and I agree with my council members that we certainly want to help any and all businesses out here in the city of Brawley. But the one item that did stand out to me, and you brought it up, was the sequence of the checks. Check 1190 that was
Right.
written on 6/17 is followed by check 1191, which is written out 6/28.
Right.
So that would mean that there weren't any other checks written during that course of time.
Right. That's in the letter explained. Because my accountant, we pay them only $1,450. They make the payment batch, account payable every 2 weeks. So after that payment, and then the next one supposed to be 2 weeks later. But after they find out, they just follow the next check. So that is what happened, and it's all explained in this letter.
Well, the other thing that I would ask Mr. Chang is that you look at the postmarks from the United States Postal Department, and they're both dated July 2nd on the postmark. So if the check was mailed out on 6/17, but the postmark's on July the 2nd, then that means that the post office, whatever happened.
No, that's what my assistant general manager, she's here. She can testify. That was sent to my office, and I apologize again.
It wasn't sent to the city, in other words.
No. Sent to by mistake to our office. And Central, can you come? At that time, Central just our good manager just depart. So we promote her as the assistant general manager. The whole big pile of the letter you explain.
What happened, we did receive,
Your name.
my name is Sandra Garcia.
Thank you.
We did receive the check. The corporate office sent it to us. They just sent it in an envelope. It didn't have no indication of what for me to do with the check. At that point, I was just promoted as the assistant general manager, so I had no idea what I had to do with the check. So what happened is that I just put the check on the side. As the mail came up, everything was piled up. When I realized and went over that pile, I saw the check. So what I did, the first thing is 2 or 3 weeks later, I went ahead and sent the check to the council. That's what happened. And that's when they sent another check from the corporate office directly over here.
Okay.
So there's some confusion there, and I feel I'm obligated to explain that. It's not something try to send two checks at the same time, and like Mayor say that it's a send on the 17th, and then the city received much later. That's her honest mistake also.
Mr. Chang, I'm in favor of giving you the benefit of the doubt in this situation, and I would like to make a motion to move beyond this point and forgive Mr. Chang for the mistake that was made. So I would like to make a motion to remove the late payment, or I'm sorry, late penalty.
I want to second that, but before I do, I just want to say some comments. It seems that your intent was to make the payment. Unfortunately, for some circumstance, and it does happen in life, we're human, and your intention was to provide us with that amount, the check, but unfortunately, with all due respect to the young lady, saw the money, and it was there, and, like I said, we do make errors, and I'll second that we waive the fee at this time.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on this?
Dennis?
Before you take action, I think the record should reflect the basis upon which you're making the motion, so that for future reference, staff can look at that to see how indeed the forgiveness came about.
In this particular situation, I think, is an unusual situation, using the information that was provided by staff and by Mr. Chang. That's the letter from the accounting corporation, as well as the copies of the check and his explanation here today. So it's not anything really that's going to probably come up later, but...
And as I understand what happened, there was a check that would have probably been timely received.
Correct.
That was posted on June the 17th, but it was mailed to their office here in the valley,
and not to the city,
rather than to the city. And then on the 28th, which had the payment been made on that date would have been timely, there was inquiry made in terms of whether or not the payment was timely made, and that triggered a series of events where it appears that the city received a check in a pretty timely way once it was discovered that the 17th check had not been received.
As you've described it, that's, I'll follow my motion with the items.
Okay, with that description, okay.
Yeah, I would still state that my hesitancy is still going to be based on just this additional data, and Mr. Chang, again, with all respect, it's not about this particular case, so I would like to note for that's my one concern, and but I will also state you're very thorough on providing us the data, the information, the explanation, and I do want to also state that not very many folks in business are willing to take the time that you have,
sure,
and certainly come use the process and state your case. I do appreciate that. So I'll.
I know there's a motion and a second, but
Go ahead, let's discussion.
I want to know how is the information and the trigger done for the payment? Is it a set date that the payments are to be made? Is there a notice sent out? How is that done, Rosanna?
Ruby, if I may have you step up, we have a remittance that's part of the billing process, and I'm going to just ask Ruby if you can come to the microphone, please. She can walk through that process for you.
When a hotel operator comes in and they sign up with the city, they are given information as a hotel operator. They are given information as far as TOT, a list, informational sheet saying it's due monthly, what the amount is, and so forth. And they are provided with tax returns that are printed and given to the operator and supplied by the city. On that form itself, basically states the monthly, and it specifies all the detail as far as what is required when remitting your TOT. Which you have been provided a copy of that tax return in your packets, just for your review. However, the copy, I know once it's copied, it isn't that great of quality, which on the back of that return basically states, give me a second and I'll find it for you.
I think it's page 146 in your agenda. It'll show a copy of the City of Brawley Finance Department remittance slip.
Similar in fashion like a water utility.
Yes, it's like a utility bill, right. Got it.
This is actually the tax return here, what they received. The form in the back actually provides information, and down it says due date, And if you go down, the due date is as follows. Monthly returns payment will be due on the first day of each month for the tax collected the preceding month and will be delinquent after the last day of the month. So these forms are completed by the hotel operator, then they are transmitted to the city with the check. And that's how these are carried out. In this instance, the phone calls from Brawley Inn to the city of Brawley, to staff, was then provided to me as far as, they don't want to be assessed a penalty, does it apply? And that's how a lot of this, of course, this correspondence went back and forth, and we kept it as far as if not received, then they are subject to the penalty.
Mr. Chen, if I could, I mean, you understand the procedure now as it's been explained.
Okay.
And also, I just wanted to point out on this form as well, just for notation, the form has, I guess, in history, just the way it's been, the Director of Finance assumes no responsibility for loss in transit.
Yeah, okay.
We understand.
I just wanted clarification for the process. That way, we're going to do this time, and, so that way everybody knows. Let's go.
Well, okay, but one thing I want to say, we are going to probably do this, and it's going to be done in this way, but I want everybody to understand that the staff acts based on the ordinance, and they cannot waive that penalty without a hearing here, and that any other business that comes up that is late with the fees will have to come before us in the same way that Mr. Chang has done, with a hearing, et cetera, and give a valid reason for something happening. And this is an unusual circumstance, and I understand that. It's also, there are many unusual circumstances out there, and I do really worry about the precedent that we set. However, in this case, it wasn't over, I think there were like 2 days late, or it's like 2 or 3 days late. So that's one issue. And I think that we can be a little bit responsive to the business in that situation. But I do have some concerns and continue to have concerns about this. I would just advise everyone to get their tax payments in on time.
Likewise. And I would like to thank staff. I know they committed a lot of time to the issue, so please don't consider my position to dismiss your thoughts there. It's just I want to get beyond this point, and everybody's on the same page at this point. So
I think the confusion comes from this check.
Okay.
Probably.
Let's
Two checks, and one is 17, one is 28, and maybe some way, somehow, the presentation from the staff or something that make city or make the mayor believe that the
dropped the check.
There's a motion and a second. Let's just move on.
Yeah, but he's still talking.
I know, but
I understand.
he's gonna
Okay,
make me go back.
so we're going to, since we have a motion and a second, no need, I don't think, for further discussion. Anybody from the public? No? Okay. Then we'll have a vote then. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Thank you,
Thank
Ruben.
you.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
Thank
Chairman.
And just,
Thank you,
if I could, Brawley Inn used to be number 5 in the county's rating, TripAdvisor, and number 2 on the Brawley. Today is the number 1 both in Brawley and the county, and it's way far away. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Item 4B, review and consider authorization to sell alcohol at the Cattle Call Arena for Justin Lofton Foundation Country Western Concert on October the 5th, 2013. Richard.
Good evening, Mayor Couchman, members of council, members of staff. We're here before you tonight seeking your authorization and approval for the sale and consumption of alcohol at the Cattle Call Arena and Park. The event will be the October 15th, 2013 Justin Lofton Foundation Country and Western Concert. Roseanne?
October 5th.
October 5th.
What did I say?
15th.
Oh, my gosh.
It's on our agenda as
My
October the
glasses
5th.
at home.
We were going to approve the 15th.
We've changed the date.
Thank you,
There's
Roseanne.
a flyer for
Can't take
it.
sure.
No confusion, Richard. How about Richard?
No confusion.
Hey,
Well, we're seeking your authorization and approval for the sale and consumption of alcohol. The Justin Lofton Foundation is, the theme behind their concert is Throwback Country Under the Stars. The organizers are working very hard, very diligently to put on a successful event. Proceeds from the event will go to benefit the Brawley Boys and Girls Club, the Arts Starts program, the Challenged Athletes Foundation, and their own Justin Lofton Foundation, who gives very generously to all our local charities. So, with City Council approval, the organizers, city staff, police, fire, Public Works, and Parks and Rec will be working hand in hand to make sure they follow the guidelines set forth by our facilities for use permit.
Yeah.
So, if you've got any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Anybody have any questions?
Totally support the event, and I'm very proud of our staff and our parks and what we do for our community and our children. Richard, you guys do a good job, and I'm totally supportive of this.
Likewise, I'd like to make a motion to approve the sale and consumption of alcohol at Capcola Park on October 5th, 2013.
Second.
All right, motion and second. All right, any further discussion?
One more comment, and just
Okay.
Mr. Lofton, he's a fine young man, and I think a lot of us in the Valley are obviously very proud of his accomplishments. So I think great cause and does a tremendous amount for the community, so just want to put that out.
Any further discussion? Anybody from the audience? If not, call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Great, thank you very much. I've got Dana Mendoza here. She may have some follow-up comments concerning the event.
We're good.
Okay, guys.
We're good.
Thank you.
See? October 15th, we'll be there. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, we'll all be there. Okay. All right. Item number 4C, discuss street sweeping services in the city of Brawley.
Good evening.
Yasmin.
Honorable Mayor Yasmin Arellano, Council Members Yasmin Arellano, Public Works Director. We're passing the weekly schedule for street sweeping, and that's already uploaded on the website.
She passed it yesterday.
The city's annual cost for sweeping has been calculated at approximately $698,000. This cost includes the 2 daily routes, the employee salaries, the sweeper spoils hauling to the landfill, the equipment rental rates. And the equipment rental rates are inclusive of the operation and maintenance of the street sweepers, the CNG station, and fuel cost. Staff calculated an approximate monthly cost for comparison purposes of $58,200. The city has 2 sweepers, soon to have 3. We have an 05 diesel-operated Timco sweeper, an 07 CNG-operated, and a 2013 that will arrive next month. Staff requested informal proposals to perform the street sweeping service operations that you'll see listed more in detail in the staff report from 2 local solid waste service providers, and receive weekly service proposals of up to $24,780 per month from CRNR and $0 from Allied Waste with a 10-year solid waste contract extension. The staff evaluated the possible advantages and disadvantages of outsourcing these operations, with the advantages being a reduced operational cost, no staffing issues, no sweeping spoils stored at city-owned facilities, because we currently store the sweeping spoils at the Rio Vista yard, and the staff time savings by not having to transport these spoils to the landfill. The disadvantages being the lack of schedule flexibility, increased complaint-driven response time, the increased emergency-driven response time if city does not keep a street sweeper, an increased time associated with resolving quality control issues, and additional staff time for coordination in between residents and the contracted services. For comparison purposes, we looked at other cities to see what they were doing to provide the street sweeping services. City of El Centro currently contracts its street sweeping services with CRNR and has twice per month residential service and daily for commercial areas. City of Holtville also contracts with CRNR and has also twice per month service for residential and daily for commercial. City of Calexico has in-house street sweeping services, and the residential streets are swept every 2 weeks and commercial areas daily. Imperial has an in-house street sweeping, however, they don't meet, the equipment doesn't meet APCD requirements, so they're not doing sweeping at this time. And at this point, I would like to ask council if they have any questions for staff.
I have a comment. Looking at the information, Jasmine, that's provided for what it actually costs us to provide the street sweeping in-house, I think it's justified to do what we need to do with Allied taking care of the services, but I think there's a big enough advantage. I want to make sure that the one full-time employee that's performing this work right now is placed somewhere in the city, and I understand we have the workload to accommodate that. I just want to make sure that that person is taken care of. Okay?
Yes, sir.
I do have a question.
Go ahead.
No,
Go ahead. No, you.
With respect to the position, where if that person were to be placed, where could they go? And without creating a redundant position, one that we would absolutely need, where would they go?
Correct. Currently, we have one full-time employee and one temporary employee. Our full-time employee comes from the Streets and Utilities Division, so he would be, if absorbed by the city, he would be going to the Streets and Utilities Division, and he's has exceptional skills. Asphalt, he would eventually have to get certified in such a time frame for a D1 distribution license, but it's not a redundant position. We do need the work. We need the employee.
Okay. One comment from the city manager.
I just want to be sure that we're transparent that there are no existing vacancies in the Streets and Utilities Division. It would mean creating an additional slot. And in consultation with our street supervisor, I think, unfortunately, we have plenty of potholing work to do in our city. There's lots of maintenance activity out there to be performed. We're doing our best to perform our work within our approved budgets, so it would necessitate a budget adjustment coming forward. Outsourcing the service would allow for a change in circumstance for our streets-related expenses, but we would also need to change our total count of personnel, et cetera. So there'd be some follow-up items.
I have another question. With respect to that position, if in fact we move forward with the proposal by Allied Waste, and they were to contract it for a weekly street sweeping and disposal, and that in-house person, if they were, do you know the fully burdened cost of that employee?
Yes, sir.
I believe it's 71,000.
So there still would be a substantial savings.
Exactly.
Even if we absorb that. I mean, it would amount to $600,000 that we would be saving roughly, or greater than $600,000.
Right, and the 71,000, it's divided into the three funds from the NR.
Sure. It's in the enterprise funds.
Right.
Still.
If I may offer just one suggestion to the council, if council has specific direction regarding personnel and/or equipment, that would be really helpful to us at this time. As a quick recap, we are receiving in October a CNG street sweeper, which will replace our existing diesel unit, and then we also have a second, it would be a third. We've got the diesel unit, the new CNG unit, and a 2007 CNG street sweeper that the city owns. So at this time, you'll see there were different ways that the various proposers structured a bid, an informal bid, because it wasn't a formal bid. If council wants to give us additional direction, really the big savings in all of this is not having maintenance obligations associated with this super costly equipment.
Yeah, I would think we would need to sit down with Allied too and come up with some kind of agreement to maybe lease that equipment to them or somehow work that out to where it benefits both parties. But I think we should be able to work that out.
Okay.
It's listed as discussion, so we're not looking for a motion, are we just looking for direction?
Direction.
Okay.
I don't think we can do a motion.
Then, at least from my perspective, the direction I would give is, first off, I appreciate the data in front of me, and I think it's pretty impressive that we do have a current vendor under contract. And it appears that what Allied's offering is pretty hard to beat. And so I look at this as value-added service to an existing service. And all I would ask is with staff as we move forward and go ahead and address some of the particular concerns on flexibility in response. I think that's reasonable. Whatever mechanisms can be put in place for that to satisfy that concern. And again, my recommendation on the employee would be certainly, I think it's consistent with our workshop on improving some of our city. You mentioned potholes. So if there's a way for that to be presented back to us as a legitimate absorption of an employee in a department, that would be my recommendation. And then I think, was there a third issue regarding the equipment on how it's ultimately going to be resolved? I think in compliance with how we've been able to acquire it, I would certainly have staff present back to us how that can be appropriately addressed.
I would like to see the item on the agenda with Allied Waste and their contract extension consideration. And of course, the street sweeping proposal. So at our next agenda.
As long as the Allied representatives are available to meet with me, we'd be happy to iron out details between Public Works, myself, and Mr. Bringle.
I would like them to iron out the details. I'd also like them to have a discussion with them regarding the daily that most of the cities do in their commercial district, and if we had to come up with something on that, just a proposal for that and what that would entail. I think they're talking about weekly right now. That might be enough. But I think it's something that we may want to discuss while we're discussing this whole issue. Bring that up and see what you can arrive on that.
It would be weekly, but not the entire city.
Right.
Yeah, it would be. It's.
But what the other cities do is they do it, I think, every 2 weeks in the residential and every day in the commercial. And I don't know that we do anything like that, but it's something for us to consider in the discussion. I don't know whether we arrive at that
We're
point.
daily for commercial.
Okay.
And we're weekly for residential.
So that's
and I
what
think
we're
we're the highest standard.
So that's what we're talking about,
value-wise.
continuing. Okay, that's fine.
No
I don't have
change
any
in
problem with that
service.
in terms of the continuance. As far as the staff person goes, we'd like to see that person absorb the one full-time position. As far as the 10-year contract, I think we have to discuss that. It is a long contract, so we have to have some contract discussion, I think, within that 10-year time frame. As far as the equipment goes, it may be that we retain one of those pieces of equipment. It may be that we divest ourselves of two of those pieces of equipment, and then we have an emergency standby, and we may want to discuss a little bit about how that would work and what the cost would be on that. Because I want us to get the maximum cost savings, but I also want us to protect ourselves in terms of what we're doing
I
here.
had Dennis review an agreement that Allied had presented, and I think those things are being considered at this time. We'll put
And
it
I
on the agenda
haven't
and
seen
discuss
any
it,
agreement,
yeah.
and
So
until I see that, I want to see more
we'll cover
detail.
those
I
items,
think.
I
It's
think.
pretty tight.
So,
Okay, so I think we're all pretty much in consensus of our direction to you, city manager.
I think it's clear to us. Thank you very much for the feedback.
Okay, thank you, and thank you. Thank you, Yasmin.
man, a few words there. There you go.
Yeah, you did. If you guys want to say something, now's the
All
time.
right, that's
Okay.
probably best you don't say anything. All right.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, so you have your direction. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 4D, approve establishment of on-site laboratory and associated staffing at the City of Brawley wastewater treatment plant.
Good evening, Yasmin Arellano, Public Works Director. The newly adopted sewer use ordinance includes new local limits for significant industrial users and implementation of a pretreatment program. The lab analyst is a position needed to comply with these requirements. The analyst will establish and maintain a certified laboratory. The cost of the laboratory equipment was approximately $20,000, and this equipment has already been acquired during the activation of the wastewater treatment plant during fiscal year 12-13. The analyst will provide analytical data for process control at the wastewater treatment plant and necessary data for the city's wastewater collection system loading impact on the wastewater treatment plant. There's a contracted laboratory that reports to the wastewater treatment plant 2 to 3 times a week to perform process controls. Specialized testing required by our MPDES permit will still need to be performed by this contractor laboratory, and the approximate cost will be $30,000 versus $150,000 of current expenditures. Checking with the other cities, Calexico has 2 lab analysts, El Centro has 1, Valley Sanitary District out of Coachella has 2. The annual cost for the ELAB certification, which is the Environmental Laboratory Accreditation Program, it's about $3,000. And the fully burdened salary is about $71,000 already budgeted in fiscal year 13-14, and approval is recommended.
Our cost savings would be approximately $45,000 a year, is that right?
Correct, sir.
That's a pretty good
Yeah.
savings.
I think the savings is worthy, and then not only that, I think the
Turnaround
real-time turnaround time for the results of our reporting is really important to us. And I think we're heading in the right direction with this testing.
In a quick comment also, I know this issue's actually come up prior to my seating here on the council, so I do appreciate my fellow council members have done quite a bit of due diligence on this issue. But my personal comment up to the point right now is certainly with our new pretreatment ordinance and program, this would probably be a very good investment for our city at this time with the information I have.
Mayor Pro Tem, did you have something you wanted to say? No. My only concern, as it was before, was cost, and it looks like we would have some cost savings there. I think we need to come into the modern age, and maybe that's where we're headed. My only concern is having the fox watch the chicken coop, so to speak, or the hen house, and that could be. I was concerned a little bit about that because it's important that the lab person understand that they have the ability to do the testing and provide a report that isn't infringed upon by any outside influences. And so I think that's important. That was one reason why I liked having it contracted. However, I think due to the cost savings, the fact that we need a rapid turnaround time, and I think due to the fact that we have issues associated with the wastewater plant on a daily basis, I think it's important that we have somebody out there, at least in this role. And then we can always have some cross-checking of that data, and if it doesn't turn out right, then we can take some steps in that direction.
I agree with him 100%.
Okay.
I would like to make a motion to approve the on-site laboratory and associated staffing.
I second that motion.
I have a second. Okay.
And it is a budget position, already in the budget, so.
Right. Any further discussion? Any comment from the public? If not, then I'll call for the question. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Those opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sweeney.
Thank you, Jasmine.
Okay. So now we're on to item 4E, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So we review and approve resolution number 2013, resolution of the City Council of the City of Brawley, California, appointment of members of the Brawley Airport Commission, the Brawley Public Library Board of Trustees, the Brawley Parks and Recreation Department, the Brawley Planning Commission, Imperial Valley Housing Authority, and the Brawley Advisory Commission appointments. Okay.
So Mayor Couchman, if I
That's
may
the
offer.
Business Commission, isn't it?
Item 4E is intended to take up the topic solely of the Business Advisory Committee.
Okay.
And what is suggested by staff is that council first consider this item before naming the appointments, because on the books, the Business Advisory Committee has to have its term extended
Yes.
in order to actually name the vacant seats.
Okay. So,
And prior to making a motion also, is there, I can see from the support material, I take it it's our discretion on whether we want to extend that 1 year or 2 years or
Correct,
whatever.
or how many, it was also suggested that the council might consider changing the number of seats to form the committee so that we're better able as a city to attract the applicants. As it stands, there are 7 slots. Council might want to consider reducing that.
Of the 7 slots, 2 are, one is the Chamber of Commerce, they would have a seat, they're non-voting members, is that right?
ex officio.
There
Ex
are,
officios.
the city manager and the CEO serve as ex officio.
So this could be one motion, or Dennis, would that be just one motion where we make some of these modifications? Because certainly I want to extend, but also maybe consider reducing from 7 to 5.
But the 5 would include the non-voting members, is that correct? Because then we would only have 3.
Are the ex officios part of that?
Yeah, and I have some concerns. Well,
Okay, I didn't know. I thought we need 5 members from the business
As a
community.
part of that discussion, I just wanted to bring up, I noticed that we had 3 candidates, and I don't want to really have that discussion in this, but it is part of that discussion. And we have, right now, we would have the chamber the chamber manager as an ex officio. We would have our city manager as ex officio member. Okay. Also, when I look at the one application that we have from the gentleman from IVEDC, they are an economic development organization, not necessarily as a business, that they're also a business, but they're also an economic development organization. And I would think that we may be better served by making that person or somebody from an economic development organization an ex officio member also, as opposed to making them a full-fledged member. So that brings up...
He's a resident.
That's true. That's not a problem. That's not a problem. But the business that he represents is an economic development organization, private, nonprofit, I guess you would have to say.
Well, that's where he works.
Whereas, yeah, see, but what I thought was that you really, in that commission, you wanted maybe private sector business owners primarily, or you wanted some input from private sector business owners. And I noticed from looking at this,
the goal initially was to get private sector business owners, but it's been difficult over the course of the past few years to gain momentum. I think primarily due to the fact that it's very difficult for small business owners, and their focus has been on running their business and not necessarily in participating in committees. We have made some movement. That Donnie's been working with me on this, and myself, in trying to get a broader group of people interested. And so we're certainly not done collecting applications. And so that, ideally I would like to have 10 applicants and consider the applicants from that pool. So I think at this time, the one thing that I would like assistance with is just extending the period of time, and then we can work on recruiting, and getting the word out to get people to go ahead.
Mayor Couchman, the question that was posed by Councilmember Nava about the number of members, when I read the section of the enabling resolution, it states, the way it reads is as though it's 7 plus 2.
Okay.
It says committee shall consist of 7
I remember it being
members.
that way,
So
yeah.
5
we can
plus
make
2
it
would be
5
where we would
Whatever
go to.
your number
5 plus
is,
2.
right.
That would be my
And what about the residency requirement? What is your feeling on that?
It's still a requirement.
You still want that to be a requirement?
It's still, it's still a city requirement for any commission or any
We can change
committee.
that.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily, I wouldn't.
Okay, all right. Okay, all right.
Dennis, you have a...
Well, in response to Mr. Warren's
Yes.
question, I think one motion would work.
Okay.
And see how that flies, but I could see if, depending on, if there's
If
a
it
lot
needs
of
to be
moving
pulled
parts
apart.
and you have agreement on one and not on another, I suppose the result of your motion
You may want it
would dictate that.
The
But-
motion would be for the extension?
I'd like to go ahead and ask my fellow council members, is there any particular opinion on how long we extend it, whether it's 1 year? I mean,
I
do
would
we
just
make
say,
it reasonably
normally
1
we
year?
extend things by 12 months, right? And
Okay.
So that's,
Then I would like to make a motion that we extend the Brawley Business Advisory sunset extend it out for 1 year, and that we reduce our our director or advisors from 5 to, I'm sorry, from 7 to 2. 7 to 5, that's what I'm trying to say. So,
I would second that.
Yes. Okay, so,
Go ahead.
Can I ask one
Go ahead.
clarifying question? The way it was originally written was as though the term runs through the end of the calendar year. One suggestion is that instead of it running through December 2014, that instead we make it match with the fiscal year and when terms end for other entities, because we advertise at the same time.
Wanted to add that to your motion.
June 30,
and
2014.
along with that
Amend your motion.
expiring
You're
at
amending
the
your
end of the
motion.
fiscal year 2014.
and the second agreement.
And I wanted to second that when he was thinking that.
All right. So we're clear on everything.
And
on
the
the
Yes.
motion. That's all that we need to really change, right?
Dennis,
Yep.
is there an issue with that?
Changes.
Changing, when you say 2014, do you mean 2014, 15, or 13? 14.
It would end at the 2013 fiscal year. Is that correct?
No. Yeah.
So extend it through that period of time? Should we go there?
June 30th, 14.
2014,
Uh-huh.
so even
Because that's
further.
next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Into-
So it would be
Okay.
further than, well, his motion stated 12 months. So does he need to retract that motion?
12 months would be September.
Right, it's less than 12
2014.
months, so we're looking at ending fiscal year,
Just make it in
The end of this fiscal year.
end
Or
of
you
this
could-
fiscal year, which would be in 2014.
Yes.
June
So it
30th.
makes more
June
sense.
2014.
Yeah,
June 30th of 2014.
correct.
Okay. Are we all clear? We're clear on the
Dennis,
motion.
does he need to
Alma?
restate that? Because he did make a motion, I did second that. He didn't refer to,
Right. in the
He's
first
amending
go-round.
his motion.
Okay.
Did
You're
he amend
amending
his
your
motion?
motion.
you want to amend
He
your
can
motion?
amend his motion.
Yes.
Can we do that? Does he need to retract it first, Dennis?
Well, there was a
No, he
second.
doesn't.
There was a
Well,
second.
I would need to retract.
I'm not an expert on Robert's rules, but I suppose,
All you have to do is amend his
yeah,
motion.
it seems to me if you make a, could be a
Second agrees.
separate
I
motion
retract my second.
to
I
amend.
retract my motion.
Okay.
I make a motion that we extend the Brawley Business Advisory Commission out to June 30th, 2014, and we reduce the membership from 7 to 5 members, representatives.
Let's call it committee too, because it's not really a.
It is a committee.
It's really a committee, so.
It's a committee.
And
make sure
it
we're
is a
clear.
committee.
It's a committee. And I second that.
Okay. And you second that, okay. All right, so we've got a motion and a second. Any discussion from the public? Any? Yeah, we have. Yeah.
We go.
No, no, we're not going to do that. Okay, so we have that. Anything else from the council? Okay, if not, call for the question. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries, okay. All right, got that done. Now then, we're going to look at appointments, which, which is going to be more tricky.
Are we looking at appointments?
Well,
The
That's your
res-
next item on the
Yes.
agenda. is
the
on-
resolution says that the mayor makes those
right,
recommendations.
so I'm going to make some recommendation. Now, do we want to take them one at a time? I think we probably ought to take each one of these commissions and everything one at a time, so that we do that. I think the first up, though, is the Business Commission, right? Is that not the first one?
Airport?
If you look
okay.
at page 4 of your agenda, we tried to make it easy, showing you which of the
Right,
terms
airport.
that were expiring, so it calls out the Brawley Airport Commission
Okay, so
first.
Brawley Airport first. Has 2 openings for a term that expires on June the 30th, 2014. Let me pull, 2015, I'm sorry. Now, I show that we have 2 people for those that are currently serving,
Yes.
and that is Timothy E. Kelly and Thomas Havermile. Okay? And so they both are requesting reappointment, and so my recommendation is that we just reappoint both of those people. I think they have been attending the meetings, and I think that they've added some dynamics to that commission, because it was having a lack of attendance, but I think now then, I think we've got some of that under control, so.
No one else applied?
So do I need to make the motion, or how does that happen? I just make the
You
appointment.
need to make the motion.
I make the motion. So I move that we appoint Timothy E. Kelly and Thomas Havermall to the Airport Advisory Commission.
Second.
And I have a second. So any discussion? So all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
No one applied, right?
Okay, that's right. Okay. Brawley Library Board of Trustees. Okay, let's take that one. Where is that one at? Let's see. Okay. And we have, I believe, 1 person that applied for that? Who were the 2? I show Maritza Nunez.
No, that's for the Parks and Rec.
I'm sorry.
Elizabeth
I'm sorry.
Lorenzen, and you have Dr. Ron Stillman.
Okay, they're at the back. You're right. Ron
2
Still.
apply is 2 seats.
Okay. And they're both reappointments, correct?
Correct.
So I move that we appoint those 2 individuals, Elizabeth Lawrenson and Ron Stillman, to the Brawley Public Library Board of Trustees.
A second.
I have a second. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, the Brawley Parks and Recreation Department has 1 opening, and we have Maritza Nunez as the candidate, and you can see her application there. I have no reason not to appoint her, so I move that we appoint Maritza Nunez to the Brawley Parks and Recreation Department, the Brawley Parks and Recreation Commission.
A second.
Okay, there's a second. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay. Moving right along. Brawley Planning Commission has 2 openings, and we have 2 individuals that have served some time on that. And I believe those are the only 2 that we have. Oh, we actually have a third, a Robert C. Palacio. I did speak with Mr. Palacio, and I did recommend that we appoint him to the other commission as opposed to this one, simply because he's a beginner coming in, and
What commission, Mr. Mayor?
the Housing Authority.
Oh.
So if that's okay.
You applied for the Housing Authority?
Yes. the Housing Authority Commission. And so I would prefer to put our reappointments back on to the Planning Commission. So my recommendation, or my motion is to reappoint Jay Goyal and Eugene Bumbera to the Planning Commission.
Does it need a second before discussion?
Yeah, I would prefer that.
Okay.
I have something to discuss on that. Is there a time limit?
How many
Term
commissioners?
limit?
Term limit?
No.
Not that
There
I'm
are
aware
none.
of.
No, all due respect to Mr. Bombera, that he wants to make it a 30-year track, which is okay, fine gentleman, he's always been on top of things, but, it comes to a point that you want to see some new innovative ideas, and in the past, there have been individuals that have applied, but because, they want that person to be in there, it just keeps on prolonging the situation, and people that have innovative ideas don't get the opportunity. I wasn't aware that this gentleman had been there for 16 years. I guess he's going for another 4 years. I don't know, I just don't like that idea, but that's my own personal opinion. And I wanted to bring in Mr. Palacio, but that's just my opinion.
Are we still discuss? I thought we couldn't discuss, but if we could, I just wanted to confirm you did speak with this gentleman,
did
Mr.
speak with
Palacio, and
Mr.
he has
Palacio
a
today,
willingness to
actually.
serve on the
Yes.
Housing Authority? Okay.
Yes.
Then-
And he did say it was okay?
Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to second the mayor's motion.
Okay. Any discussion? Any further discussion? Anybody from the public? Okay, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed?
No.
Okay, motion carries. Okay. The Imperial Valley Housing Authority has 2 openings and 1 tenant opening that expire on June the 30th.
The tenant, we just need to vote on the 2 commissioners. The tenant letters were sent out to the tenants.
Okay. Okay, so we have Ruben Gonzalez and,
He's there already, right?
yes, he is, I believe he's the reappointment, right? Ruben Gonzalez is the reappointment, okay. And then we have Robert Palacio
And Ms. Mary Miller.
Mary.
and Miss Mary Miller, okay,
And how many seats?
For how many positions?
2.
for 2.
2.
Okay.
Sure want Mary there.
Okay. Now, let's see. Well, my whole thing behind this is that I like to see people on the commissions. I like to see them active. I know Ruben has been on there a long time.
No.
I talked to Mr. Palacio. I did not. No, he hasn't?
Ruben's only, he's
One term?
2010, okay.
11. Yeah, because he's to finish off,
He
Mr.
wants to consider reappointment. And then we have Robert Palacio, and then we have Mary Miller. Well, I would make a motion that we appoint Mary Miller and Robert Palacio to the the Imperial Valley Housing Authority Commission.
Another clarifying question. I'm showing on my packet, so there's only 2 positions. I'm showing 3, but
No,
it's 2.
one is a tenant
One is a
commissioner.
tenant position.
I understand. Okay.
Was that a motion?
I second
That
that
was my
motion.
motion. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion? Aye. Those opposed?
No.
Okay, motion carries.
I support you, Mayor. So that wasn't the reason I wanted that change.
Okay, the Brawley Business Advisory Commission has 7 openings that expire on June the 14th. Well, actually, five openings that have expired, that have come up. Okay, so we have 3. One was the ex officio, which is Jason Zara, so we don't really, do we need to vote on him? Okay. And then we have Sean Wilcock, and then we have Dale Johnson, but Dale Johnson is not a local resident.
Right.
And so really, we're only voting on one at this point in time that's qualified, and that would be, well,
Motion 3.
right? Because all I have is the one, Sean Wilcock, because the other one's ex officio anyway. They're already approved for membership. So Sean Wilcock is the one, and I would make a motion that we appoint him to the Brawley Business Advisory Commission, Committee, I'm sorry.
I'll second that.
Have a second. Any discussion? Okay, call for the question. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, if I may make an inquiry of council, would you like staff to do anything to have a continuous posting?
Post it online, and
Yes, something.
I'll
Yeah.
try
You guys
to
will
reach out
continue
to some
to-
people, and the rest of council can reach out as well. Appreciate that, you know. Let's just try to get as much involvement as possible, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, I think that's good. Okay. Moving right along. Okay, item.
Take care.
Thank you, Mary. Item 4G. Consider and determine city council meeting date change from September the 17th, 2013 to September the 16th, 2013. City manager?
I apologize. Yes, the California League of Cities Conference is actually in conflict with our next regularly scheduled council meeting. Staff looked at the calendar and is inquiring in this action item whether you'd like to roll it to the Monday instead of Tuesday, so it doesn't conflict with 3 council members traveling.
What's the council's pleasure? How does that impact anybody first, I guess?
Yeah, it was, well, we're going to be out of town, right? And so, didn't we discuss the 16th?
Yes.
Yeah, the 16th. I'm open the 16th.
Is that a holiday?
No.
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 It's Monday Night Football, September 16th.
Monday Night Football, well, that's almost a holiday.
Propose another day.
Think we'll have a lot on the agenda.
Yes.
Does that impact your ability to get any of that information to
Not
us?
one day
'Cause it sets
earlier.
it- Okay.
I'd make a motion to change the date of our next meeting to September 16th at 6 PM.
I second that motion.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay. 5, departmental reports. Shirley Bonias, Personnel and Risk Management Director, monthly staffing report.
Honorable Mayor, council members, Shirley Benias, Personnel and Risk Management Administrator. Before you is your council report on the staffing report on page 198. Things are progressing in the fire department. As you should know, we have a new fire captain and a fire lieutenant. And as soon as we complete one more step, we will have the other 2 firefighters come on board and present to council en masse the new hires and promotions within the fire department. Great news in the police department. We have recently sworn in a new officer, which brings our officer vacancies down to 3. We do have some candidates and backgrounds. And just today, the communications dispatcher position has finally been filled. They will start tomorrow morning. So Mr. Morales will be in front of you hopefully on the 16th meeting. Other than that, the report stands as is. Any questions?
Any questions from the council? Nope. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, informational reports, record of building permits of July 2013, Francisco Soto, building official.
It's just intended as an addendum to the report. If you have any questions, Mr. Soto is available to answer them.
I don't think I have anything. I don't have any questions. Any other council members have any questions? Mr. Soto? No? Moving right along. Okay, city council reports. Mr. Ward.
Yes, just quick comment that the month of August, obviously, we were dark, so I certainly enjoyed some time with the family. Not a whole lot of activity on my part. in and around necessarily the valley other than my own personal stuff. But I do want to make just take the opportunity to make one comment for our fire department, certainly always our staff, but our fire department recently responded to a structure fire on West Magnolia that actually happened to be a family member of mine. And certainly when those things happen, as we even recently experienced as a city, they can be quite emotional. So again, I truly appreciate, again, the professionalism, everything from response time even to just interacting with the public, which I know that, again, our public safety officials do on a day-to-day basis. But it's amazing when it hits home in a small town. So again, I appreciate them, appreciate the staff, and I'll tell you, that's one thing about living in a small town. We all come across each other one way or another, whether it's daily, weekly, monthly, or in this case, in the event of an emergency. So thank you, Chief. That's all I have. Thank you.
Very good.
I'd just like to thank staff for all your work and mimic some of Donnie's comments. It's not every day that something tragic happens, but certainly when it does and you need assistance, it's good to know that we have a great staff to be able to help out. So thank you all very much for everything you do. With the rain and everything else, I know Public Works is out in force and our police force and everyone else. So thank you all very much for everything that you're doing. I was able to enjoy some time with my family as well and get caught up on a little bit of work. I'm looking forward to attending the California League of Cities in the coming weeks. That's always it's not just exciting, but it's in my own opinion, it's probably the best opportunity I have as a council member to get out and meet other council members, mayors throughout the state of California. And so you meet a lot of business people, you meet a lot of, and you get to network with people, which is very important. It's a critical element of this position. And so I've always enjoyed it. Mr. Wharton's going to attend as well. I'm excited for him too, because I think he's going to see how other cities function. And I've learned quite a bit from attending the California League of Cities conference, and hope that he takes that away from that conference as well. So I'll report back once we come back from that, and I'm excited about it, look forward to it, and again, thank you all for your help.
Welcome back. I missed everybody. Running around with all the young folks in Pop Warner. It's been a lot of fun, a lot of time. We had our first game on Saturday. We hosted 7 games, and we were fortunate enough to win 5 of those games. And I really appreciate what our staff do and what they do in our parks, because I feel it firsthand. To see the kids go out and have a good time and learn how to win and lose and become good people. And our city really hosts, and it's not surprising to me when they schedule that many home games in the city of Brawley, because they know we're going to host, and we're going to host well, and we really watch out for our children. So I really commend our EMTs, our fire, our police, our Parks and Recs folks, and everybody that help us stripe fields and get our facilities ready, guys. I really appreciate the help, and believe me, the 300 kids that's in the program appreciates it too. You guys do a tremendous job. Thank you very much, and may God continue to bless you and your families.
When Don says he feels it firsthand, he literally does. They go to him with any complaints right there. So you're on the field.
My biggest complaint is I'd like the snow cone truck moved closer to the Brawley side of the field. It's a long walk.
Spear shaved ice.
That's right. Yeah. A shameless
Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, I have just a little to bring out to you guys. I had a great month of August. Like my constituents, we went to some vacation, went to see some family up in the Salinas area. We were gone on the weekend of the storm, 23rd and 24th. I want to commend the staff. I did come back on Monday, and there was still some streets that were semi-flooded, but has been. Appreciate your staff being out there 24/7. Richard Rubio, and of course our Brawley's finest and fire department. I'm a little bit kind of sad and upset. Unfortunately, Mr. Palomares stepped down, but I'm noticing our city is being more bombarded with graffiti. I don't know if you folks have seen it. I've seen it, and it looks ugly, guys. It
Back to
does look
school,
ugly.
brother.
Back to school
Yeah, but
celebrations.
when we had the program going, whether it was back to school or after school, it was, they will paint it, and they were there painting it on, and I don't know what we're gonna do, but I am concerned because it does look nasty. That's all I have to report.
Okay. I did attend the Brawley Chamber Mega Mixer, at the Stockman's. Very nice event. I did attend Chief Gilmore's retirement party, presented him with his retirement badge. I did attend Commander M. Lloyd's retirement from the Narcotics Task Force at the old Eucalyptus place on Donnie's behalf.
Thank
and
you.
that went very, very well. I also was asked to speak to the Brawley Elementary School District staff at their annual breakfast at the Hidalgo Hall the other day, and that was quite the honor and privilege to be able to do that with the teachers and the maintenance staff and the cafeteria people and the whole gamut, the nurses, all those people that keep the school district running. Elementary school and high school also, but I mean elementary to a large extent. That's what our future is, all those little kids. And my grandson attends, and so I was happy to do that. I also I did a trip to Texas. And I was gone during the storm also, but I did get an opportunity through the auspices of my new daughter-in-law's father to meet the mayor of Fairview, Texas. And I had a large meeting with him. His name is Darian Culbertson, and he's a mayor of a small town in Texas. And their main downtown is a shopping mall. That's all that it is a large shopping mall. But it's really kind of neat that their city hall for 9,000 people is 4 stories. With a massive elevator, glass enclosed, with all this, about a room about 5 times as big as this room, where they have their meetings. They have window views of everything in the surrounding area. They have $1,000 paneling on the walls and nice carpet and beautiful tiles on the floor. And it was just an altogether interesting experience. And the people that built the mall donated the land and part of the money for the city hall, and so they built this big edifice there in Texas. I thought it was real interesting trip. Talked to him a little bit about their things with sales tax and how they have a lot of open areas in their city, where the other city right next door, Allen, Texas, has really dense housing. And so the difference, you can look out the window and see the difference because in Texas, all the little towns are all together there. There's nothing that really separates them. And so that was a very interesting trip. I would like to, in the future meeting, get a little proclamation together for him, and we can do that. And he did present me with one, and I forgot to bring it today. But it was an overall nice meeting. I met with him for about an hour and discussed city and everything. I'll be sending the bill to the city of Brawley, not really, but but for about an hour. The guy was very interesting and very open about everything. Yeah, I know, about everything. So that's neat. And the town was Fairview, Texas. And so I'll be sending him some items from Brawley. He was very interested in the Brawley cattle call. So just to let you guys know, that's a key thing. And I guess it's on our internet thing, and so he researched it. And
You should invite him down.
And I did invite him down for the cattle call. In fact, I invited everybody I saw down for the cattle call. But they have lots of cattle in Texas. They don't need the cattle call.
Tell him I'll buy him a beer if he comes down here.
But that's all that's a good offer. And that's all I have to report. So, good. Moving right along. City manager's report.
I just want to share with the council that I did proceed with preparation of letters of support for IID's local entity mitigation fund. The letters of support that I prepared were general in nature, and they were for Imperial County Office of Education, Fiesta Tortillas, Chavelas, and the Brawley Community Foundation for the Downtown Theater. Should the council wish to provide additional direction for my own future guidance relative to letters of support, I'd certainly welcome that. I did not go into extensive commitments on the part of the city. I simply focused on it being a positive thing for businesses to stay in our city and grow. So more general in that regard. Want to also note that our Public Works Department went to great lengths in the last couple of weeks to do all the restriping of crosswalks. I'm sure many of you have seen our folks at work, and I've received so many compliments from various stakeholders, very pleased with the restriping work out in the community. I do have 3 items that I understand to be coming back to the council at our September 16th meeting, and those include a scheduled presentation from the County Sheriff's Department on the North County day reporting center concept. We will have sheriff's representatives here to talk a little bit about the grant funding that is being sought for that facility here in the downtown area. Also plan to do intense follow-up on the HERO program as well as Allied and getting the franchise agreement squared away so that it's in a form that the council can take action on at the next meeting. And that's all I have at this time.
Okay, thank you very much. Treasurer's report. Update regarding the City of Brawley investments.
Ruben.
Good evening. I will be presenting on behalf of the city treasurer, Mr. Hamilton. What we wanted to provide you tonight was an update to our investments, what we have done on May 7th of this year. We presented council with an updated investment policy. With that, we had discussed that we were going to diversify the city's investments, looking at other avenues to take for a better rate of return, as currently we are with LAIF, and most of our funds are deposited with LAIF. So since then, we wanted to report to you that we have moved approximately $3 million out of LAIF, and we have opened accounts with Sun Community Valley Bank, and we have purchased several CDs with multi-bank securities, which all range from 0.5% to up to 1.23% versus currently LAIF's rate of return for the month of July was at 0.267%. With this, we're still trying to take a conservative approach with using the city's funds and working within the approved investment policy. We are still getting our feelers with the CDs and how that all works, and hopefully moving as far as purchasing more CDs up to the amount authorized, which in the policy was 30% of our investment funds. And then move forward into other areas as far as like agency bonds and working that way. But we worked with the branches. We've met with, as you know, we did a lot of work with the local branches, and we got offers from CVB and Sun Community. CVB is a supermarket money market account, which that's a liquid account, which we have the opportunity to pull funds from if we need to be. With that, then with Sun Community was a CD that we got at $1 million. And with Community Valley Bank, what we did with them, pretty much it's capped at $1 million. If they're ever in a position to get receive more funds from the city, they would then offer us that opportunity. However, that's the amount that they're able to secure with the city, and we did do some work. CDs were initially purchased right away. We capped them. We purchased anywhere from 2 to 5 year CDs, all ranging. They were capped at $248,000, just to leave a little bit of cushion for any interest earned and keep that insured as well, because our cap, the FDIC insurance is $250,000. What we did, we worked with the banks in connection with Dennis, as far as with CVB and Sun Community, is just confirm and give the city some comfort as far as the insurance on our funds that exceed the $250,000. So they satisfied that request, and we met with them. But this is what we wanted to present to you, give you an idea. The staff report mistakenly says September, so the later part of this month to give you an update on the report. However, it will be October, because that's when we will actually have quarterly numbers, the first quarter numbers, that we can give you a true picture of what we earned. Right now, we're estimating, based on the percentages we have received on that $3 million, there will be an increase of about $20,000 in increased interest earnings.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Protected 250.
Yeah.
I mean, if it failed, I mean, we'd have
They
way
issue-
bigger problems than that. So
They issue letters of credit, the other financial institutions, and they secure it, they back it.
I'm happy to see you guys reach out to different branches, though, and invest throughout the cities. That's really good.
Also think it's good that we're making more money, because $20,000 doesn't sound like a lot, but it adds up over time.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
A lot to
it's
me.
a lot to me. Okay.
Good job.
Very good. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Mr. Hamilton.
Okay. You okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Got to chew the peanuts. Yeah, you gotta chew. Okay.
You've been on Southwest.
City Attorney's report.
I have nothing to report.
City Clerk's report. Okay, we are going to take a brief break, 5 minutes, and then we'll return to closed session.
Dodgers, baby.
There we go.
Whee!
We're moving right along.
Good, Miller, how are you?
No, I had something.
Okay.